from London, wrestling fans. I'm your host, Ben Allison, and you are watching Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast, your one-stop shop for professional wrestling, insight, news, and reviews on a daily basis. Today, it's Monday, June 3rd, 2024, and you know what that means. It means we have some mail. It's Mailbag Monday, and I'm excited to get into it all. But before we open up that mail, we've got to open up with the panel, and let's kick things off with the co-host of the show, Clark Taylor. How are you today, Clark?
I'm doing well. Happy Monday. It's June. It's wild. I mean, we've got mail. I'm hyped to get into it. I always love Mailbag Monday. Can't wait to answer some questions. I love questions, and I've got answers.
Oh, questions and answers, a Q&A,
Yep.
if you will.
Got
Also joining us today, we have the host of the Soul Sessions. Soul, how are you today?
Well, as you can tell, I'm not in my suit and the shades are on because it is, beaming down with sunlight here. I think global warming has finally hit Scotland. I mean, it's nice though. I ain't gonna complain because I'm not wearing that whole three-piece suit and sweating to the high heavens. It's good to be here for Mailbag Monday as well, and obviously been pretty good as well because I have something coming to my place, to the studio, something that will add to my little piece of NXT UK history. So I got some interesting things coming.
Wow, you are really starting a real collection now with the NXT UK stuff. I'm excited to see what that is. And also, I've got to ask as well, of course, yesterday, Wrestling Heaven and Hell. I mean, you brought hell to the show when you were not happy about the PlayStation having the issues. Are they fixed now?
Yes.
We need to
finally play my games.
Yes.
Alone.
Soul can game again. I needed to know that so bad.
Game Watch is still coming, but I'm sure I'll be leaving it when it's Clash week next week, which is very soon. So
Clash.
Wow.
Yes, we get a pay-per-view at a reasonable time and I get to watch it and actually go home and sleep well.
Well, I mean, I cannot wait for that. That is for sure. But also joining us, it's his first daily appearance in quite some time, and I am hyped for it. It is Drizzy. How are you today, Drizzy?
Good morning, afternoon, and evening. It's the guy you should believe in. I am Drizzy, and I have power. And I'm also here in the daytime, things that we do not see too much. Most of the time when y'all see me, it's dark outside. It's normally at the NXT. And this is my first mailbag show. I love these shows. I love it. Now I get to get here and talk about everything that I don't normally get to talk about.
Yes. Absolutely. It's going to be a fun one. And we're starting it off with a really fun topic. And this topic comes courtesy of our good friend Bobby Petito, who has sent in the question, what are your guys' dream matches between TNA and NXT? And there couldn't be more of a relevant subject for your return to the show, Drizzy, because of course you, Clark, and Shad do NXT off the air every week. But Clark, I'm going to start with you. What TNA NXT dream matches do you want to see with this new potential partnership we're seeing?
So we talked about this a little bit on Off the Air last week, and I hate to repeat myself, but this is one I just want to see because it'd be a human car accident, and that's Obafemi and Moose. Talk to me about Obafemi and Moose, two of the biggest, strongest, scariest people in all of professional wrestling. Just an absolute Ken Griffey Jr. 97 slugfest is what it would be. That would be as stiff of a match as you could ever see wrestled. I'm all over that. Women's division wise, there's so much fun stuff. This is kind of a weird one because I know that we're getting Jordan Grace crossing over already and wrestling Roxanne. I'd actually love to see, if it was humanly possible, Jordan Grace and Natty Neidhart. I just think that's a wild, interesting matchup out of left field there. And Natty Neidhart's a Hall of Famer for sure. Jordan Grace is on the up and up here, I think, once again, somehow during her career. I mean, the appearance last Tuesday, the pop that she got from the crowd, the idea that none of us knew it was going to happen was also well executed. To have that match on the resume, just check that box, I think is definitely worth it. But there's so many great possible matchups. But Moose and Obafemi, that one I think is a must.
That does make the mouth water. And I mean, you mentioned Jordan Grace, right? She's doing against all odds an open challenge, apparently. I believe that's what people are saying. So who knows? Maybe the Natalia match could become a reality. And I'd be down for that. Natalia's done so much in her career, but one thing she hasn't done is wrestle in TNA. So that would be a lot of fun indeed. A great shout from at the underscore Joker underscore. And there's probably about another 10 underscores on the end of it. But he is saying Trey Miguel versus Ricochet. I mean,
didn't think of that.
That would be sick. The same person's also saying Mbappe versus Neymar. I don't think they are in TNA or WWE.
Could be a fun match, though.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, to be fair, the amount Neymar goes down, I feel like, he'll take one bump and he'll be out of action for a year.
The selling will be good, though.
That's true. They'd be terrific selling. We have Wrestling Takes. Shout out to you, Cameron. I hope you're having a great day. And we have Josh Markowitz as well, saying Soul is certainly doing better than yesterday. Hope all is well with the PS5. No doubt about that. But Soul, we know what how your PS5 is doing, but I want to know how this partnership between TNA and NXT will be doing. You said yesterday at Wrestling Heaven and Hell that you had your concerns, but when it comes to dream matches between these two companies, who and what matches would you like to see?
Oh, well, this is the fun part, right? There's no need to worry about booking or logistics or even travel. We can just have a bit of fun here. That's the main thing, lads. And obviously, I interviewed Dani Luna as part of TNA, former Knockouts Tag Team Champion. She wanted to see Steve Macklin go over and do some stuff in WWE. For me, personally, though, I want to see this, right? This is a matchup that happened in the past here in Scotland, way back in ICW. Even little guy put a little song to this Scottish psychopath. I want to see a reignited feud between Joe Hendry and Drew McIntyre. They feuded back in the day in ICW. Joe Hendry did a cover of "It's Blue" by Eiffel 65, and it was just "It's Drew," right? It was amazing. It's one of the most viewed Joe Hendry songs on the YouTube right now for ICW. And the thing is, you could easily build a story of this. You could build it that Joe Hendry is even the Scottish or the UK local hero. Joe has always been connected to his roots here in the UK. He comes back and he does independent shows in Scotland. He's also got Discovery Wrestling, which he now owns as well, which he does Discovery Academy out of and trains the next generation of superstars here in Scotland. You could have him go over and, be like, "Oh, Drew, you've made yourself big man. You're the big man of this company, but I'm the local man. I'm the man who knows my roots and my past that brought me to stardom." And you could basically have the local homegrown boy who stayed with that environment of the hometown to the guy who left the hometown and grew bigger than the home and is now the superstar among superstars. I would just think of it because you could let these two really go out. I would encourage people to look at Joe Hendry and Drew's stuff back in ICW. It was absolutely fantastic. But you know what? I'll give a quick other one as well. I want to see Spitfire, which is Dani Luna and Jody Fret. I want to see them against the Kabuki Warriors. That is something I would really love to see too.
Both of those matches I'd absolutely love. I mean, neither one of them are in NXT, but I mean, McIntyre versus Joe Hendry.
Well, I don't watch NXT. Is it still a brand? Is it still polka dot? Is it still colors?
Whoa.
Yes, you so come on.
No.
I was on your side.
I'm sorry. Look,
You
every time I
had
see
me.
titles or through pastels, I think, oh, NXT. That was something. That was something when
You had me. I was on your side for Drew and Joe Hendry. That was one of my picks. But you had me.
That's the jockey fell off the horse
Scottish.
right before the finish line.
Scottish. We do good things and then we annoy people in the second half. It's like our religious point of views. I'm sorry. It's just what I do. And besides, I'm not even in my suit right now because it's absolutely boiling. Like I'm needing fresh air right now because I am suffering from heat stroke. The heat is coming. I'm sorry.
Have fun. I mean, I will say this, Soul. You don't have to watch NXT every week, right? Because instead of watching NXT, you can be like me and just watch NXT off the air every week with Drizzy, Clark, and Shad. Why not? Easy. It's always a lot of fun. But talking about Drizzy, I want to know what dream matches you'd like to see between NXT and TNA.
I had 5 because, like Clark said, we talked about this a little bit. But my biggest one. It was a fatal 4-way Ultimate X match. I had Trey Miguel, Zach Wentz, Wesley, and Javon Evans. That is a highlight reel match. And if you are ever going to explain what the X Division style of TNA is, it's definitely that. All four of those guys, you take Javon Evans out, are X Division guys. But I'm pretty sure Javon Evans would do incredible things. And the creativity of the Ultimate X match makes it even more amazing because you seeing these four guys who already do amazing things in the ring, in the air, climbing a giant X to try and get a get a leg up on somebody like that. I said it wouldn't be for a belt or anything, but it would be incredible. One of my other ones that I had, and I truly believe it would be a spectacle of entertainment because I don't know why WWE fumbled the ball with it. Mustafa Ali and his new gimmick against Noam Dar of the Metaphor. Two of the more entertaining guys on both of these shows. It doesn't have to have a story, but this one I kind of want one because these guys tell such great stories in the ring, and with Mustafa Ali's new gimmick, I think it fits perfect going against Noam Dar. It's it's a and it also fits as a NXT TNA X Division style type match. And I'm gonna give you one last one. Now, stick with me for a sec. TNA does a great job of the big monster matches. Monsters Ball. They do great with those style matches. Let's take their current guy for those matches, PCO, and put him up against a complete and utter lunatic named Joe Gacy. You can't tell me that's not putting butts in seats. Like the and it also I would look at it more of a passing of the torch because Joe Gacy is a incredible athlete, does everything in the ring, checks just about every box, promo, wrestling, everything. I would love to see him take the torch as the extreme guy in wrestling as a whole. It just fits. It makes sense to me that way.
Absolutely. I would really love to see those. And of course, Ali versus Noam Dar, like you said too, that one would be sick. It truly, truly would be. We have a couple of comments from Shad here saying, inject Killer Kelly versus Tatum Paxley into my veins. That would be absolutely filthy. And also ABC versus Axiom and Frazier. Oh,
Yes.
that would be absolute. That would just be absolute chaos. But I mean that in the best possible way. Take my money. I would love to see that, no doubt about it. But Clark, I'm going to bring you back in now, right? Because I want to move on to talk about the next question. We're going to go right back into that mailbag. We're going to put our hand deep into the pile of mail, and we're going to pull out a question from @Neelesh.music, who is asking, and this is an interesting question, should Finn Balor become world champion this year? And the way that I interpret this is, should he dethrone Damian Priest, considering, the Judgment Day history between the two? Clark, I'd love to find out your answer to this fascinating question.
I wish the question was, could Finn Balor become world champion this year? So I could say yes, but the answer to should is why? I love Finn Balor as much as the next guy. I think he's outstanding. And I think he's gotten just at every turn messed around in certain ways. The demon character taking losses that in my eyes were unnecessary multiple times. Not fair. Winning the world title the night he rips his shoulder off the bone. Not fair. And I think he's so dang talented and so dang good. But he's had a purple bandana and black pants, and that's been the difference for 2 years now. I don't know what he's done that's elevated Finn Balor beyond what he was before. I want Finn Balor to feel like a huge deal again. They did a great job with AJ in this retirement thing last week. Something like that. If we have a story, the answer is, yeah, okay, I'd be cool with that. We got to build Finn back up in some way, show some strength, or maybe bring the demon out of him and just hope that we kind of forget about the Edge and the Fiend versus demon stuff, like all of that. Like we just allow the demon to be the super powered version of Finn Balor. If that's the case, then I'm okay with it. But my general answer is right this second. Why? He seems like the third or fourth most important person in his own faction. And that's a shame to have to say that because I'm a huge fan of Finn's. He's one of the best bell to bell in the world. We have that conversation all the time about like, oh, these guys can go bell to bell, bell to bell, bell to bell, all that. Finn Balor's should be in that conversation and we don't bring him up. And that's because of the last 2 years. And that's, I don't think it's entirely his fault. He does deliver every time he has a chance to, but we got to give him the real shot. If we're going to give him the real, like, if we're going to put the title on him, we got to build him back up because it's not the same as it was beforehand.
You are completely right, but you're also completely right. You know what you said at the start of that. AJ Styles this week, it took one segment. And if they split up the Judgment Day, if they have Finn Balor, be the catalyst, be the one to turn on Damian Priest, we could have a heel Finn Balor again. We could have that version of Finn that we saw in NXT a few years ago during the pandemic, 2019, early 2020. That Finn Balor, we know it's there. We know the demon is within this guy. Honestly, the last couple of years, yes, it's felt like he's been coasting a little bit. But at the end of the day, he's helped Dom get over massively. He's helped Priest get over massively. Rhea was already open, but I mean, she's not open. More over.
We got it.
But look, she's even more over now. Finn Balor, it was similar to the Bayley thing when we talked about damage control, right? Bayley had to take a couple of years, a year and a half out of her career to, take a little bit of a step back. But by taking a step back, well, it meant that the others in the faction could, be elevated to a new level. And Finn Balor, he's done the same. And we know that demon, the old Finn Balor, he is still in there. The Prince Finn Balor is still in there. So we only need one segment. One segment is all it takes. Should Finn Balor be world champion? Yes, 1000% he should be world champion because this guy deserves that world heavyweight championship run, which he never got. He was the inaugural universal champion. He got injured. You said it, Clark. We've heard it a million times, but he deserves that moment. He deserves that championship reign. He does.
He does. But it's one of those things where Bayley, the build, I'm excited because I'm a huge Bayley fan, but I still, there was some to be desired. If the idea is to push Finn to this world title picture, I want to see like a very drastic change in a way. Like I loved the comparison to the pandemic going back down to NXT as a heel, but I want it to be drastic and unique even. Because there's so much high quality main event talent in the WWE. That record we were looking at last summer, Seth Rollins with Finn Balor,
it was bad.
Stained in my mind. It's like 3-27, right? Like it was brutal, man. Like
I didn't even know about the 3. I just knew about the 20.
You include like house shows. I think it was like 3-27. He was for
I'm
a stretch.
shocked about the 3. I'm shocked.
Well, no, the 3 wins weren't against Seth specifically, but he was working Seth at most. So like the 3 wins were separate matchups.
Yeah, I remember.
And it was it was one of those where you look at it and you're like, that doesn't make sense for Finn Balor. He's a star.
Yeah, no, you are bang on correct there. I will completely agree with you. Balor does deserve better, but at the same time, we've seen people, come back from it before, and I don't think he's going to be a Mania main eventer. I don't think he's going to get to that level, but a world, as a transitional champion, maybe a 3-4 month reign with the world heavyweight gold, that big gold belt. Yes, please inject that into my veins. I want it Finn deserves it, right? This man just needs,
He's an absolutely outstanding talent. Like, there's no doubt about that. I don't think there's any argument that he does deserve the moment. We just got to get there the right way.
Yeah. No, you are right. You are right. Indeed. Somebody really wants to see Mbappe versus Neymar, by the way. But I mean, yeah, people are saying, how do we get to the demon though? Well, that's the story, and the Judgment Day can be a great, starting point for that story. The split. It's so from this point to get to the split, it's so easy, right? It'll be idiotic for them to mess it up. But the fact is, to your point, Clark, Balor's reputation's been hurt, but I think it's savable. We've seen it so many times.
Totally salvageable.
Wrestling.
He's not like done or anything like that. No, that's not even what, right? Like, I don't believe that either. It just needs to be built back up.
Yeah, no, 100%. Well, guys, talking about something which is certainly not done, let's talk about Next Level now. If you guys don't know Next Level, they are awesome. They put all our links in one place for us, all our social media links, all our social media content, plus exclusive content as well. It's nxconnect.me/Wrestling Republic to see all our content across all platforms, linked all in one place. That's nxconnect.me/Wrestling Republic to see all our content across all platforms, linked all in one place. But now let's go right back into that mailbag, shall we? Because hey, who doesn't love a little good bit of mail? And let's talk about the future of Seth Rollins. Soul, I'm going to bring you in for this, right? I want to talk to you. Seth Rollins, he's been gone for a while now, and we've got a question from @CallumWD_ saying, what do you see for Seth in the near future? The last we saw of him, he lost that World Heavyweight Championship to your guy, Drew McIntyre, at WrestleMania. He then cost Roman Reigns the championship in the main event, and he's been gone ever since. But Soul, what do you see for him in the near future?
So, before we talk about the future, you got to talk about the past. What has Seth accomplished within the WWE in itself? Inaugural NXT champion, he was a part of one of the most dominant factions and legendary factions within WWE's history in the Shield. Caused one of the biggest moments of the Shield with the breakup hitting the chair, which I think recently turned 10 years old this year as well, or is it 10 or 11, something like that?
Yes,
or 9?
It was 10. It was 10 years ago. Yesterday.
Bingo! There, we got the 10-year anniversary of that. He's held tag team championships multiple times. He's held the Intercontinental multiple times, US multiple times, WWE Championship multiple times, Universal multiple times, held the United States and the WWE Championship at the same time. Money in the Bank winner, Royal Rumble winner. It's been the inaugural World Heavyweight Championship. He's had multiple different versions of himself that I've always really connected. Yes, he had a wee dip with the Fiend 2019 stuff, but he was able to completely swerve that to the Monday Night Messiah and to now Seth freaking Rollins we know him today. When you've achieved so much, there's always the thing of what's next. Could go for another WWE Championship run. How do you spin it up and make it different from your World Heavyweight Championship run? Change characters, change things, bring in a new faction. What do you do? I think nobody can deny that Seth Rollins has got a Hall of Fame career. Already achieved that. He could go in next year and it would feel worthy. He would feel main event class for that, class of the Hall of Fame. But I don't know. Like, do you just stick him in the main event picture and have him be somebody that, do you relive the Cody stuff as another feud for Cody? Do you have him go after Reigns again? But that whole story's chapter seems to be shut with the Shield. Do you have him go to NXT and be like the old guard coming in and see what the new guard's doing? He was the inaugural champion. He wants to see that this new faction of NXT can stand up to his old ways or something like that. Do you have him go and elevate one of the Intercontinental or the United States? Heck, do you have him go to WWE Speed just to completely change up his style and maybe try and elevate the Speed belt? It's confusing to me because he has done so much. If you look at somebody like, The Miz or somebody like Johnny Gargano, there's ways you can take them that seem possible. You want to see them get another run at the WWE Championship with The Miz because he's always great and he's awesome. Johnny, you want to see him get a mid-card belt and try and elevate that with the stuff we know he could done, like his NXT days to the North American Championship. Seth, though, he's a guy who's done it all that you kind of think, I don't know where you can go from here. Like, I know people are immediately going to be like, oh, he's going to leave. He's going to go to AEW. He's going to go to TNA. He's going to go to New Japan. I wouldn't be against Seth doing what Naomi did. Go to another company, do some stuff there. If you want to reevaluate yourself, want to change yourself, try something completely new outside that bubble, go ahead. And then when you feel ready, go back to the WWE and then have a crowning moment. Because everybody had that absolute cheer and amazement when Naomi came back at the Rumble. If Seth was to go to any company, though, a lot of people are going to say AEW. And I understand why, to relive the Moxley stuff. But I don't think you should do that because you really closed the chapter with Roman Reigns. Like, it's done. That you don't have to harp on the Shield anymore. If I was a betting man, and something I do love to do, I would love to see Seth Rollins go over and do stuff in New Japan. Have Seth go over to New Japan and do some stuff there. Or even Noah or All Japan as well. Because then you could come back with Seth and you could reignite the Balor feud and be like, well, Balor, you made yourself and tried to be a prince in Japan. I went over and I was a king. So, hey, if you want to have that and show that he is Seth freaking Rollins and he can always go and be freaking amazing, go for it.
I mean, I like a lot of your suggestions. So, and I mean, Seth, doing a Naomi, that is very interesting indeed. I personally disagree on one thing, and that one thing is I do not think that story with Roman Reigns is finished. In fact, I think we're about to have, the main chapter of it. Because, there's three things certain in life in the words of Seth Rollins: death, taxes, and Seth freaking Rollins beats Roman Reigns every freaking time. Roman Reigns has still not beaten Seth in one-on-one action. He's still not defeated him. He's retained his title against him, but that was by DQ. He's not beaten him.
I think that's the beauty of it, though. He's the one man you
It
can
is.
never
It
beat
is. It's
because he's the brother.
poetic.
Like, see, if you had to tell me, so book Roman Reigns retirement match, Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns 1 hour Iron Man match. That's what I would do. I wouldn't do Rock. I wouldn't do Jay. I wouldn't do Solo. Yes, they're his blood family, but like Seth is that other type of family that you have a deep personal connection with. That's the family that he chose and made with the Shield. And the fact that he could never beat him, it says stellar amounts to their their relationship and the work that they put in together. That because it's something you could always trace back to the Shield on that night when they jumped CM Punk, John Cena, and some guy who eats on the internet. So I'm just saying, go ahead for that. That's what I would do.
It's a great point. To be honest, all that is a great point. It's very poetic. Maybe you just want to leave it how it is. At the same time, they want Roman Reigns to be the guy of, he's not a bad guy. He's not a good guy. He's just the guy of this generation. So I reckon he is going to eventually get that win against Seth Rollins. And I reckon that'll be his return match. WrestleMania 41. I reckon we're getting Reigns, Rollins, Cody, Rock. And then the next year, I reckon Roman Reigns is going to be holding that gold again. And we're getting Roman Reigns versus The Rock, the dream match. And then his retirement match, I'd personally go with Solo for. But I also do love your idea. With a couple of comments here, David Mard saying he cannot wait for Seth Rollins to come back. Kobe Galanzowski saying Seth isn't in a rut that, reset is needed. Fair enough. He's taken a little bit of time too, so he'll feel, very fresh when he does come back. And I mean, D'Ambrose, if he ever comes back, David March, that would certainly be very, very interesting. But it might happen. It might happen for like a one-off or something.
No. Next question. Move on. He ain't going.
Well, we are going to move on to the next question. And the next question, well, Drizzy, it's your return solo topic. And it's a very, very good one. It's from Zebo the Great 92 on Instagram, who is asking, in their prime, who was better, Seth Rollins or AJ Styles? What are your thoughts, Drizzy?
Before we can say who was better in their prime, you have to also differentiate which version of Seth truly was the best. Was it Monday Night Messiah Seth? Was it Shield Seth? Was it freaking Seth freaking Rollins? It's a tough one. I'll go with right now. I'll go with Seth freaking Rollins as the actual best version of him. It's the one that connects with the fans the most. It's the version that he seemed to have put on some of the better matches. It's kind of hard to even say that Seth is in his. He may have not. I don't think he's in his primary. Honest to God, he's told a lot of stories. He's been in W a long time. It doesn't seem like it, but we're going. I want to almost say it's been like 15 years for Seth in WWE. I'm not 100% sure. We may need to do the math on it, but I don't think Seth has even hit his peak yet. Unlike AJ Styles, who has been in his prime for a while now. AJ, I believe, is more well traveled than Seth. I believe that AJ is a lot more polished than Seth. And I feel like because AJ had those years in TNA and Ring of Honor and New Japan Pro Wrestling, I would almost take I'm not even gonna say almost. I would definitely take AJ Styles in this conversation more than I would take Seth. Seth, yes, has been somewhat traveled, but I don't think it's to the same T in the same extent as AJ. AJ has main evented in places all over the world. In every company, he has been the top dog at every single facet that you could give him. AJ Styles is legend in wrestling as a whole, where I can only give Seth legend in WWE. Now, that's not saying that he probably couldn't go and do that. I don't know if Seth even has any aspirations to go anywhere else and do it. But at this point in time, at this very moment, I cannot give Seth my okay as being better in his prime. It's definitely AJ. The matches, the stories he's told, even in even in WWE, AJ, in my eyes, has had a few more better stories than Seth has had. Even going back to this past Friday with AJ Styles in the retirement ceremony, AJ and Finn in the match that saved us from seeing Finn the Demon versus Sister Abigail. Thank God
Yeah.
that match did not happen. Woo! But Finn, even in Finn Balor NXT, not Finn. Oh, where did I get that from? AJ, he's. I feel like no matter where you're gonna put AJ, he's always gonna be at the top. Where Seth will have to work a little bit, and he had to work a little bit.
Wow. Well, I do think that is, great argument indeed. It's two guys who's very hard to, pick between. But I mean, at the end of the day, right? You said, when, maybe the peak of Seth Rollins, the prime of Seth Rollins maybe hasn't happened yet. Well, there was one day in which AJ Styles hit his prime, and that day was May 21st, 2016. And the reason that on that day, AJ Styles hit his prime, well, that was on the day that I decided to start Wrestling Republic, and it was all because I was an AJ Styles fan. So I'll agree with you, Drizzy, for that reason. But now let's move on. And let's move on to talk about the New Day. Because this one, well, this question I've, sneakily submitted myself, right? Nobody has asked us this, but heading into tonight's episode of Monday Night Raw, it is a very relevant question, and that is, should the New Day split up? Of course, Karrion Kross, he's trying to tear the New Day apart. But Drizzy, I'm going to start off with you this time. Do you think the New Day should split up?
All right, fans, it's time to have this tough talk. We have been on this journey with Kofi, E, and Xavier for so many years now. We've been with them as the happy-go-lucky evil preachers. We've been with them as the evil faction that basically took out an entire main event scene. We've been with them as the longest reigning WWE Tag Team Champions of all time. We've been with them through one of the greatest feuds in all of tag team wrestling with the Usos. We have been with the New Day as the hosts of WrestleMania, and even with singles gold, Kofi Mania, Big E's Money in the Bank win. We've been with Xavier Woods as King of the Ring. They have literally touched every aspect of WWE as Hall of Famers. They, as a whole, have touched every major win that you could have. They've won. They're memorable in Royal Rumbles. Kofi's aspect. As far as Kofi, even with just Kofi, they've touched the Rumble. They've touched SummerSlams. They've touched King of the Ring, Money in the Bank, WrestleMania main events. We have had so much New Day. There's not much else left for them to do. They've won everything that you could possibly win together. They've done everything that you can possibly do together. I think it is time that Xavier, Kofi, and E not turn on each other, not anything malicious or evil. I think it's just time that we bring it in for a curtain call. We've had we're selfish at this point in time if we want them to stay together any longer. They've done everything. They've changed the culture of wrestling, even for Black wrestling fans. They have made it cool to be yourself now. So that's why it hurts me to say this, but it is time for us to maybe just give them one last hurrah, and then let's see what we can do by ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be honest, Drizzy, I agree with you completely. It's kind of gotten to a point, and of course, Big E's injury is certainly a part of it, where it's become a little bit stale and stagnant. But I also agree with you. I don't want to see a heel turn. I don't want to see, some heartbreaking moment. I just want them to, go their separate ways. The draft would have been a perfect time to do it, to be honest. And it's not even, it's just a goodbye for now. Maybe,
I don't
they
think,
can bring it back in later.
and I don't think that we should even do the draft because we've done the draft split before. So I don't
Yeah,
even
that's
think we
true.
should do that. I really think that they have given so much to WWE and done so much for everybody. I think they have earned the right to go out on their own terms as the New Day and just be like, you know what, guys, we love you. We all you all. You've done so much for us. You've been given our biggest dreams legs to run, but it's time for us to go our separate ways.
Mm. Oh yeah,
It's
that
like
is a
it's
great
like
question.
watching on Blue's Clues, the episode where Steve goes to college. It's like that.
Yes. Yes. I make a Blues Clues reference every Monday, and I didn't make one yet today, Drizzy. Yes.
Jersey, why you gotta make me feel
And I
old?
know the exact episode you're talking about. It's terrifying. And Joe was not nearly as good.
It's like we had him, we had Steve for as long as we could, just like we
Yeah.
had New Day. So it's time to go ahead and let's let the next generation's New Day come up,
Jersey,
whoever
stop
it may
talking.
be.
You're making my knees crack with how old
We
I'm
just
feeling.
got a
Oh.
letter. We just got a letter. We just got a letter. I wonder where it's from.
We almost got through an entire Monday without a Blue Clues reference, but not so fast. But that is great, and Drizzy, I agree 100%. But Soul, do you agree? Is it time for the New Day to go their separate ways?
Let's look at some previous amazing tag teams. The Dudleys achieved so many things within the WWE and outside of wrestling. They eventually parted. Road Warriors eventually parted. British Bulldogs parted. Heart Foundation parted. Rockers parted. Usos, most recent version of that, they've parted. New Day fulfilled an amazing purpose back in the day. They were really needed for the tag division at the time. They were given characters they didn't resonate with, they allowed it to be themselves, and they became the most over group on the roster. Whenever I think the New Day won the tag titles, nobody was mad. Everybody loved to see the New Day win, whether it was pairing with Xavier and Kofi, or Kofi or Big E, or Big E with Xavier. Everyone was happy with the New Day. And eventually these guys, they did have separate paths, some successful more than others. Kofi and Big E, WWE champions. Xavier Wood won a plastic crown. As again, goods and bads with solo careers. But they always came back together. with Big E's injury, as tragic as it is, I don't think he should ever come back in the ring because it like we haven't seen him in a long time. Now, yes, I know people are going to say we're being worked, and when that moment comes and he returns, it will be absolutely glorious. And if that does happen, I will eat my words for it, and I'll be absolutely glad to see Big E back on the television screens. But then you need to look realistically. You know, the guy broke his neck, and he's lucky enough to be here with us still, and still doing amazing things. Like he made funny references to the Shorty G stuff on one of the press conferences or kickoff shows. Dude still got it. If anything, when Michael Cole retires, Big E's the man you want to replace him. 100%. I think Big E will be the voice of a new generation. He inspired all people of color, you know, with his reign with the New Day. And I remember the moment from the pandemic shows of him being very inspirational through that. He could be as inspirational with his voice and being that voice that you hear every time you tune into a WWE product for a new generation of individuals to look up to and inspire to. Then you obviously have to go back to Xavier and Kofi. What do they do? Do you just continue the New Day as a two-man group and harping back to the days of better years? Because you will end up getting fans that will say, oh, it's the New Day diet or the lesser day or things are going downhill from here. Now, they're not the New Day at 100%. You don't want to keep a group around where they're just the historic act that gets together and do things, right? If anything, Kofi should go to WWE Speed and be a speed wrestler. He's done stuff in the Rumbles, but he's been messing up his spots for the last couple of years. And it's kind of like seeing, you know, that stunning racehorse that used to run laps and win races and win. And now it's, you know, it's got a kink in its step and you're just like, oh, it's not as good as it used to be. And that's just the thing with age. You know, as time goes by, you know, you're, you know, staying back. You are not kind of catch up to the hands of time, I'm afraid. So I think Kofi should go to there. You know, maybe he could elevate the Speed Championship as well, because it is a new championship that really needs to have a cementing reign with it. And Kofi, you know, he's always been explosive and kicking with his athletic ability. So let him be like that elder group for it as well. Now, obviously, there is Xavier. And Xavier is really the hardest one of the New Day to see where to go because, you know, I like to say it, you know, that Big E and Kofi have always been the bride. Xavier's always been the bridesmaid. He's never been one that has really been given his opportunity to thrive solely. Like I don't know anything of Xavier's time before the New Day. Like apparently people said he was like a preacher or something like that in his gimmick before the New Day. And if he was, interesting, fine. But I've always known him as, you know, the New Day's third. You know, he's always just been New Day guy for me. He's always been in the New Day. And yes, he had that little bit with the King of the Ring, but it was terribly booked. It didn't feel prestigious. It felt really hokey. It just felt like a consolation prize. We know we gave Big E and Kofi the WWE Championship. We don't see you at that level, so we'll give you the King of the Ring. And that's a shame. If anything, Xavier Woods should go to NXT and win the NXT Championship there. Now, I know people are like, well, no, he should win the WWE to be the trifecta with the New Day. I don't see it happening. If anything, let him go and reinvent himself in NXT. And when he gets the NXT World Championship, if he does well with that, you can absolutely maybe try and possibly go for a WWE Championship match. But
that is a great show.
Yeah, I think with the New Day, they've stayed around a lot. And obviously with Big E's injury, it's very hard to say what happens next for each guy in the group.
Yeah, no, it certainly is. David Marge will great comment here. He'd be shocked if Big E ever comes back, even though he is in better shape than anybody else. We've also got Bobby Petito in the chat. Shout out to you, Bobby. We answered your question a little bit earlier on, but now for my final question of the day, Clark, I want to find out what you think. Should the New Day split up?
So I feel a little bit like I'm having deja vu here. Like I've done this before. In the past, we've had this discussion over the years when it comes to the New Day, like should they split up and whatnot. And while Big E's not cleared, it almost feels wrong to have to say like the answer is kind of yes. I really liked what both were presented. Drizzy, you made some sweet points about it, and I'm in agreement on, I think that they should go their separate ways and they should be given their own route to go those separate ways, but almost more of like a we're not hanging out anymore thing. Not like we're breaking up, not like the New Day doesn't exist, not I'm mad at you and you're mad at me, or anything like that. That's not something I have any interest in seeing out of the New Day, because they've also proven as a trio, a babyface faction by their prime as a faction, that they can have individual singles runs, right? So you broke those down with Woods did win the King of the Ring. Kofi did win the belt at Mania. Big E did win the world title, right? Like it's or the WWE title, I'm sorry, but right, they're all champion. They can, without breaking up, still have an avenue for singles stardom and singles success. So the answer is, I don't mind if they do things individually, but some sort of direct breakup makes no sense to me. And if the question involves Karrion Kross's involvement, then I don't know. Then the answer is no. No, that's not how the New Day should be broken apart. Absolutely no. But do I believe that they can both be effective? Woods and Kofi, that is. Big E, I understand with the injury. If we could get him on commentary in any capacity, I would be absolutely delighted. I got to say that, and just wishing the best health, because that injury was gnarly. Coming back from any sort of neck surgery, anything that threatens your ability to walk is scarier than a lot of people, I think, realize. I would love to have Big E on commentary if he can get cleared to come back. What an iconic moment. I would be fired up beyond belief for Big E, but at the same time, you got Kofi and you got Woods. I think they go their separate ways, but at the same time, there's always that bond in case they ever need to team up. You've always got that in your back pocket, and I don't want to see some sort of vicious breakup. Sorry, I know I'm out of time.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, Clark, and I mean, I agree. Karrion Kross, neither of them should join Karrion Kross, but hey, maybe they, they listen to what Karrion Kross, says. They then win the feud, and then they're like, actually, he's an idiot, but he made some good points. Maybe it's time. But it is time to wrap up the show, guys. Thank you so much for watching, commenting, liking, subscribing, all of that good stuff. We will see you tomorrow for the Raw review, the exact same time. Also tomorrow morning, Allison Analysis. And tomorrow night, it's NXT off the air with, of course, Clark and Drizzy. And thank you to both of those guys and Saul for joining me here today. We will see you guys tomorrow. Peace.